It seems like Xbox is looking to branch out and acquire more Chinese companies as they've seen the success of games like Genshin Impact, and they want to make sure that they don't miss out in the future because it sounds like they kind of missed out on a deal there. Anyway, let's dive into the story from Routers and talk about it. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. If you like my content, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell. And as I said, this one comes the way of Routers. And the headline is that Microsoft powers up search for Chinese gaming hits in race against Sony. Now, what caused all of this? Basically, Genshin Impact. I tried to highlight certain things. The highlighter went crazy, so we're gonna wing it here, okay? The U.S. software giant and Japan's vanguard of technology have for some years been offering big money to small developers to nurture programs and license titles. But the impact of Genshin Impact has added a sense of urgency, sources said. If you don't know Genshin Impact is only available on the PlayStation console and PC right now. I don't believe it ever came to the Xbox platform. So that was a major win for Sony, and Xbox straight up missed out. And Routers is sort of talking about how that kind of made Xbox wake up and say, look, we got to get in this territory. We have to start being smarter about how we're doing business here. Enter Naraka Bladepoint, which we'll get to near the end of the story, which they managed to secure at a later date. But anyway, continuing on. The action role-playing game from budding Shanghai studio MiHoYo has generated billions of dollars since its release 2 years ago and raised the bar in multiplayer cross-platform games. The type, sources said, Microsoft and Sony seek in China for their Game Pass and PlayStation Plus subscription services. Growing Western interests in Chinese games reflect a maturing of China's game development industry, analysts said. Chinese games are now on par with big budget Western games, said Daniel Ahmad, senior analyst at researcher Nico Partners. Daniel Ahmad actually tweeted about this, saying, I was quoted in this Routers article about how Microsoft is looking to bring Chinese video games to Xbox after the success of titles like Genshin Impact on PlayStation. Naraka Bladepoint from NetEase is a recent example with more in the pipeline. There are more Xbox games coming that are going to be developed by Chinese studios. And I personally think that's absolutely wonderful to see. I'm glad that PlayStation's doing more of it. I'm glad that Xbox is doing more of it. As long as the games are made responsibly, like, that's great. It just means more exposure to different ideas from different people around the world. I like that a lot because often we get to see things that present us new information or a new perspective we haven't seen before. I think like Black Myth Wukong would be a good example of a game that just, I don't know that anybody else would have made that. It's really unique looking, and I'm really excited about that one. So I'm very hopeful that this generates some unique ideas that we're all going to get to experience also. The article continues, Chinese game developers are trying to standardize their development tools, create advanced production processes, invest in really large-scale teams, Ahmad said. Ultimately, that helps provide them with a competitive edge to reach a broad audience, both in terms of geography and platforms. Microsoft has been building a team to scout for Chinese gamers, two industry sources said. The Xbox maker mainly filled its subscription roster with big brand titles, but is now wooing even independent studios with big money offers, they said. You know, after yesterday's story about how prices of things are inevitably going to go up, a lot of people I saw online pointed out, like, well, why would you criticize Sony for reducing the cost of their components, but then increasing the price of a console? I mean, the answer is kind of in that comment, right? You've managed to reduce your costs, but you're increasing the cost for customers. So not only are you paying less, but customers actually end up paying more at the end of the day. I almost would have felt better if it was the same console, and like not much better if it was the same console components at the same prices and they had to increase it. And that's largely what Xbox is doing. They're not like, they're being very forthcoming with information. I'm very surprised that they said we're going to have to raise the prices on something. I would be shocked if they raised the price of the console That's just unheard of. I still can't believe PlayStation did it. I think that second SKU is the way to go. But anyway, what the story here is that Microsoft has more acquisitions coming out of China, and we haven't heard much about what's going on over there. I think the last title that was discussed was Naraka Bladepoint. So it is going to be interesting to see what do they have up their sleeve. We had a big press conference showing off what's coming over the next 12 months. What else is going on over there? Sounds like some exciting stuff. Anyway, at the same time, filings showed Microsoft is expanding its subscription service to personal computers and handheld devices, increasing the appeal of Chinese developers such as MiHoYo, which have developed a reputation for multiplayer cross-platform compatibility, with Genshin Impact being a prime example. One executive whose studio signed a licensing deal with Microsoft 3 years ago to feature its game on Game Pass said the US firm recently offered a licensing deal many times bigger for a sequel. I wonder if are they talking about whose studio signed a licensing deal 3 years ago and they're trying to make something bigger? I wonder if they're talking about, what was that game? It was like a shooter. I forgot the name of it already. But anyway, it was supposed to be a launch title. It got delayed. It just came out recently. Has really interesting comment. But anyway, I wonder if they're talking about that, getting a sequel. Anyway, we're not signing it yet because we think that when we fully complete our game, it will get an even better offer, the executive said. I don't know what game they're talking about, but they reference an ARC story here. I actually talked about the ARC thing. I'll put up the pop-up thing right here. Hopefully I remember when I point at the screen to put it at this about 640. Anyway, illustrating the money involved, filings showed Microsoft paid $2.5 million to feature ARC Survival Evolved on Game Pass, and $2.3 million for sequel ARC 2 from both U.S. developer Studio Wildcard, owned by China's Snail Games. An executive at another developer, Recreate Games in Shanghai, and his company signed a deal with Microsoft last year for its upcoming multiplayer title Party Animals to launch exclusively on Xbox. Xbox contacted many projects in China, and these projects primarily focus on developing console and PC games, said Chief Executive Lu Zhang. That's a tough name for me to say, sorry. So what's really interesting there is, I think that's already is starting to blast apart that narrative that game developers don't want to be on Game Pass. It actually sounds like they want to make better products for Game Pass so that they get a better deal when they sign with Microsoft. And I'm totally fine with that. Like, if you want to try and get more money out of Microsoft, more power to you. I say go for it. But they seem happy with the deals that they have constructed. So it's just another example of just the narrative online where people are like, oh, Game Pass isn't profitable. Well, now they've confirmed it's profitable. Devs don't like working on Game Pass. Here's Routers quoting like 3 devs who are excited to be on Game Pass. It's just absolute nonsense. So it's kind of nice to read these stories and just see that narrative continue to crumble. Anyway, Microsoft was slower off the mark in China compared with Sony. Absolutely true. The Japanese firm launched gaming accelerate anyway. Sony launched China Hero Project in 2017, aimed at helping Chinese developers publish games on its PlayStation. It has supported 17 titles, of which 7 have reached the market. We've been quiet for the past 2 years, but the program is still very much humming along. Oh my goodness, I'm bad at these names. Huangyi Zhou, I can't remember Zhou. Anyway. Former manager of the China Hero Project told Reuters in April, "We are proud of all the games which have successfully emerged from the program, but there is no doubt that a new batch will be coming." So Sony is also going to be getting new games out of Japan, which is good to know. It sounds like we're going to get not Japan. Sony is going to get more games out of China, and Xbox is going to get a ton more games out of China. It seems like there's like an arm race going on in this particular territory, as Xbox and Microsoft were just like, man, we missed Genshin. How did we miss this game? And honestly, it's like a Destiny game. I'm surprised Phil didn't try it out and be like, this is Destiny, but it's Genshin. We should get it. But yeah. Lots of games from China coming, and that's awesome. I think we've seen trailers for some of them, but I can't wait to see what else is coming. In 2019, Sony partnered with miHoYo, a little-known studio which was developing Genshin Impact. The game, a global hit when it released a year later, is available for PC and handheld devices, but the console version is exclusively on PlayStation. Microsoft regretted missing out on Genshin Impact, two people familiar with the matter said. It spoke to miHoYo early in the game's development, but did not reach a deal, one of them said. The other person said the experience is the driving force behind Microsoft's more active pursuit of Chinese developers. Picking up Genshin Impact made Sony a lot of money, the second person said, declining to be identified because the information was not public. There's no public data on console revenue from Genshin Impact, but data from Sensor Tower put the figure at $3 billion for mobile devices as of May. That is just like a huge pot of money that I have to imagine Microsoft is kicking themselves for not sealing the deal on it. I don't know what happened for that to fall apart, but that is just a huge miss. They know it's a huge miss, and it sounds like they're going to be making up for it in the near future. They close out with some interesting points about Naraka Bladepoint and such. So let's read that and then wrap up. Gaming executives now point to Genshin Impact as a global industry milestone, lauding its production value and seamless cross-platform gameplay. Apple Inc. even used the game to demonstrate the power of its premium device, including the new iPad Air equipped with its latest M1 processor chip. Another milestone was 2021's Naraka Bladepoint from NetEase, China's second largest games firm. While most Chinese titles are free to play and profit from its in-game sales, Naraka Bladepoint sold over 10 million copies despite its $20 price, reflecting confidence in its production value. The game caught attention of both Microsoft and Sony, two sources told Reuters. One of them said NetEase prioritized Microsoft, which made the game a Game Pass exclusive in June. And that was the first time I heard about it also. So both of these I need a haircut. I'm probably going to get a haircut tomorrow. Spoiler warning. Both of these companies are working to get more games from China shipped around the world. That's awesome. That means game developers in China are seeing these two companies compete to pay them more to get exclusives for their platform. That means developers are going to get paid more. PlayStation and Xbox gamers are going to get more. And that's why I love competition. I feel like we're at this point right now where Sony is very aware now that Microsoft is not messing around. Microsoft is very clearly not messing around and ready to throw money around. And because of that competition, and what I have consistently said is this is what happens. It ends up having a positive effect for developers, for gamers, hopefully. Let's not talk about the price increase though, about stuff, because that's just a huge bummer. There's something there to talk about the price increases. Like, there's a lot going on right now. There's inflation. Still not happy that Sony did it. And I feel like it's sort of a cop-out when you're saying Game Pass is profitable, but we got to increase the prices. That's also another one. It's like, well, it's profitable. Like, do you really need to raise the prices? How much? I'm thinking $2, but I talked about that yesterday. But anyway, great news. We're about to get more games. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell. I have one more thing before we go. And before I tell you about that one more thing, let's say a big thank you to all of the members that support this channel. Thank you so much to all the members. I appreciate you. If you want to become a member, click right down there where it says join. And today's outro video that I want you to check out is this one, all about devs loving Game Pass. I made it like a million years ago. So like, you're going to see me a year or two ago when I was talking about this and hear examples of developers saying, I like working on this thing. And here we are again with multiple developers telling routers that we like Game Pass. We want to work with Microsoft. So I think that narrative is successfully blown up. I'm going to get out of here and I'll see you for the next one. Bye for now, everybody.